We're going to take some of the information that we've been learning about operators and math, and we're going to apply it to an actual page. Here's a page that we've already worked on. I've added a little bit more stuff to the page. I've added some links up at the top. This is going to become our navigation. And I've added a bunch of images, which will become a gallery of images that we'll use. We'll start with the navigation. All I did to incorporate the navigation is to create a nav tag with an unordered list and list items that contain links. We'll start off by making some styles for our navigation. And again, normally I would be doing this in a partial, but in the interest of just keeping everything a little more simple so that you can see everything that I'm using on the page, we're going to go ahead and just do it in one SASS file. I'm going to start off by making a selector for the nav UL. We'll add padding and margin of 0 and a text align of center. Then I'm going to make a selector for the nav UL LI, and we'll change the list style type to none, a display of inline block, and then I'll make a rule for the nav LI A tags, and we'll set their color to white, remove the underline, and have them display as block level elements. I'm also going to add some padding of 0.5 ems. And let's add one more selector for the hover state of our links. If we save our page and check it out in the browser, this is what our page currently looks like. So you can see that now I have these links at the top and they act a little bit more like a navigation would act. What we want to do is we want to space the navigation out. Currently, if I resize my page, you can see that the navigation is just going to work irresponsively until it actually kind of breaks. It can't fit on one line, which is fine, but when my page is wide, this is a little bit bunched up. The other thing that I don't see working is my hover state, so let's double check on that. The background color for the hover state wasn't indented. Let's just do that. And I accidentally wrote 0.5% where it should be 5%. So let's make those changes. And if we refresh, we now have the hover state. So as you can see, the navigation elements are a little bit bunched up. We're going to use some SASS and some math to spread these out a little bit. So I'll go into the rule that we have for our nav li items, and I'm going to include a width attribute, and we're going to go ahead and tell the width attribute to be 100%, and then we're going to say divided by 6. Because I have 6 link elements, I should be able to divide them by 6 and get to 100%. If we save and we refresh, you can see that it does spread these out. Now, it is dropping one of these to a subsequent line, and that will actually happen no matter how wide my page is. There's a couple ways that we can address this. The problem is currently occurring because I'm using a display of inline block. And when you use inline block on elements, there's always going to be a white space issue between the elements. The space ends up being about 4 pixels wide. So even though I'm dividing 6 into 100%, and if we look at the computed code, you can see that the width of my LI items is set to currently about 175.5 pixels. So if we multiplied 175.5 by 6, we would actually get about 1053. As I resize my browser window, you can see that that number is going to change. So the number itself should fit in the width that we have available to use on our page, but each of these elements is actually getting this little tiny extra space that we're not currently seeing. So to resolve this problem, we can just add some other mathematical operations to our page. We can go ahead and just add a -1 here. And if I take 100%, divide it by 6, and subtract 1, it's just going to take a little bit of extra space off of the width of our elements. Currently, before I'm refreshing the page, the width is 16.66667%. If we refresh and we look at the width of the LI items, you can now see it's going to be 15.66667. And now these fit just fine, and they look pretty good as they display on the page. So in this case, this is a fine fix for me, and I'm able to use the flexibility of adding in math to be able to perform these calculations. This is a great solution because if I end up getting rid of or adding another navigation element, all I have to do is change up the mathematical equation. So I could change this to 5 if I was going to lose a link, and then the page would still display correctly. And this is a responsive page, so as I resize the page, those links are going to look great until we get to a size that is small enough where the links are going to overlap or wrap to a second line. And in this case, we would need a media query to be able to address the navigation at the smaller size. But at a medium to large size, the navigation is going to display correctly.